So I'm back. I'm sure everyone's been wondering, girl, where have you been? Short answer, I went for a walk. Long answer, I quarantined myself at my grandmother's house with no internet. In case you're wondering, she has rotary phones. So while I was at my grandmother's house, my creative juices were still flowing, you know? After not being able to sleep one night, I decided to lock myself in the bathroom and just video all my ideas. It's a warning, so I'll just cut to past Stephanie in the bathroom of her grandmother's house talking about her idea.
I had some amazing ideas. So I've been reading a lot because yes, it's fun. But all the main characters in these books that I've been reading that fall in love with these really emotionally damaged but redeemable guys, all pretty much all of them wear corsets. I was like, what if I make a corset? I'm going crazy.
As I said in the past, I'm going to make a corset. Do I know how to make a corset? No. Do I really know how to sew? I made shorts once a year ago, probably almost exactly a year ago from now. I made shorts, so how much harder could a corset be? I mean, if they made them back before sewing machines, I'm sure with the sewing machine, I'm already got it. But just to make sure, I did watch a single YouTube tutorial on it, and I'll link that if anyone else wants to make a corset for whatever reason. I really feel like making a corset is the best move for me right now, and maybe it's the best move for you too. I don't know. I'm pretty excited. Without further intro, let's cut to me making a corset. Okay, so this is the paper template I have for the first half, but I also wanted sleeves like they have in the 1800s, I think. Not sleeves, but the straps. So I also made this beautiful pattern of an old bed sheet and duct tape, so that way I can have straps. The hardest part of making the corset was actually just making the pattern, measuring it out, and making sure everything was the way I wanted it. After that, I just folded my pattern template thing in half and cut it out on the fabric that I actually wanted to use for the corset, kind of like you cut out those paper hearts for Valentine's Day in elementary school, so that way both sides were symmetrical. And then I just sewed those sides together, the outside facing in. For the back, most corsets use grommets, which are these metal things that require hammers. That seems like a lot. So I just made loops out of the leftover fabric that I just had after I cut out the main corset bits. So after I had all my pieces kind of assembled and the corset was basically just a tank top, I had to make it crunchy, which means I had to put the boning in. Boning is basically just plastic rods that make a tank top crunchy. It's like a hard shell. So if someone were to punch me in the stomach, there would be a protective layer. That's fun. Just to make sure that the boning fit the symmetricality of the rest of the top, I did map it out beforehand using a ruler. Found out that the top was actually not as symmetrical as I thought, but that's fine. So after the corset was basically done, I just had my sister lace me up with yarn because I didn't have any ribbon laying around and I was not about to go to the store at 1 a.m. when I finished this project because making a corset took 10 hours. But yeah, I did it. Did it take 10 hours? Yeah, it did. Was it harder than I thought? Oh yeah. It was way harder than I thought. But I did it. Wait, you can't see it. Can you see it? It's cute, right? Look at it. It's a corset. I did it. It was easier and harder than I thought. Easier in the fact that cutting out the pattern and making the pattern only took an hour, which seems like a lot of time, but it was just a lot of cutting and measuring. The big issue, the big kahuna that took 10 hours was the sheer amount of sewing and then going back and reinforcing every stitch you made so that way when you tighten the corset, it doesn't just rip. Also making the little loops because I didn't want to use grommets took a sheer amount of time, but I did it. Appa! I can't bend down to pick my dog up. Appa says, "You look really good." Thanks, Appa.